Aloha from Maui, Hawaii, and welcome to a Maui Music Moment. I'm your host, Randall Rospond. Our program intends to inspire, educate, and entertain you with an intimate glimpse into the sights, sounds, and minds of some of Maui's most unique musicians, songwriters, entertainers, and who knows what else. Welcome to a Maui Music Moment. This is episode number 8, and my very special guest flew all the way from New York City for this program, amongst some other things. My guest today is The Looking, aka Todd Carter.
Hi, Randall.
Todd, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your music and talking more with you. I've had your CD, your most recent CD. I have many of your CDs, but I've had your most recent one for a while, and it has kind of permeated my ears and brain, and kudos to you.
Thank you so much. It's called Lead Me to the Water.
The CD is called Lead Me to the Water,
Yep.
and the song, we're going to get right into the first song. We will speak more about Todd, his music, and everything else later on, but what is the first song you've chosen?
I'm going to play the title track up front here called Lead Me to the Water. And, you know, occasionally when I'm in New York City, I do residencies in a couple bars downtown. And I'm always looking for wonderful material from the back catalog of American music. A lot of religious music, a lot of spirituals, a lot of sometimes even stuff that's bordering on jazz. You know, I did a record a couple years ago called Songs for a Traveler. Which was made up of all American music and kind of dug into that old country catalog.
Very traditional stuff.
So this song is kind of my take on a religious gospel song. Somebody that's looking for some hope and looking for that river to ride down.
Right on. Yeah. Well, we're going to get right to it. From The Looking, Todd Carter, his new CD, Lead Me to the Water, and the lead-off song, Lead Me to the Water, right here, right now.
The sun burns bright, walking in the mountains. Listen for your call, like a shepherd feels the wind. Down in the valley, where the wild river flows, follow your steps, wherever they go. Follow you down, lead me to the water. Glad to be found, to come right down. Lead me to the water. I know my way has been rocky and hard, tested my strength, been tempted and scarred. Will the river run slow, like a heart with no strife? The silent spirit dwells, found a water alive. Follow you down, lead me to the water. Glad to be found, to come right down. Lead me to the water. sun sinks slow, Evening stars draw near, rain falls soft like a pilgrim's tears, soaks the marigolds, cattails and the jewelweed. Follow your steps wherever they lead. Follow you down, lead me to the water. Glad to be found, to come right down. Lead me to the water, lead me to the water, lead me to the water.
And that was Lead Me to the Water by Todd Carter. And I'm going to flip it this time, AKA The Looking. Now, that's your performance name or your band, or you, I mean, how would you describe
You really got it right. It's AKA Todd Carter, The Looking. I've been recording for years and years, and I've had a few different projects. But The Looking has been my main solo project. We're based in New York City. I'm from Indiana and still get back there quite a bit. Actually was just on tour with the album. Played a few dates in
cool.
around the Midwest and Chicago, and played my hometown. So The Looking it's been a constant. The band has been pretty consistent over the past few years. Same group of guys I've been playing with, but it's not always the same. I'm looking for wonderful people to play with in the city, and as you know, being in New York City, there's a lot of great players.
Yeah, and you have had some great people on your past albums as well as this album, and I've always been inspired by the treatments that you give your songs.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's I produced this record with a great friend of mine, collaborator named Bill Finizio, and the man who engineered it, Miles Turney, and we were lucky enough to get Andy Hess, who was the bass player for Government Mule for a long time, and a wonderful steel player named Gerald Minke, who's a dear friend, and a whole cast of characters that came in to play on the album just for fun.
It's beautiful, beautiful album. And now, as you said, you're sort of a New York man these days, originally from Indiana, but I know you through Maui. Can you tell us your connection to Maui?
Well, my wife's mother's stepmother grew up out here, and it was really her mother. Her mother had passed away when she was very young, so her father remarried a local Maui woman when he was in the Navy, and that brought Shanti, my wife's mother, out here when she was a young girl. So she grew up most summers out here, and then did some schooling over on Oahu, and I've been coming out here for 20 years, and my wife's been coming out here for about 40 or so since she was born.
So you have serious family roots here in the islands.
Yep, bringing out my daughters, and we have a big family reunion this weekend with their family, so we're looking forward to that.
Very, very cool. Well, it's a treat for us to get you, because I know time can be limited. Now, we have another song of yours that is just a real tasty, and on this CD it's very atmospheric, which really appealed to me. Can you give us a lead-in for this next song?
Sure. It's a song called Not Your Friend, and it's a little bit of a strange song for me because I've been married for 15 years and I'm happily married, but it's essentially a song about somebody, a couple, and somebody wants to break up with the other person, and the person with whom is going to be, the person that's going to be broken up with is like, no, I don't want to be broken up with, and if we are going to break up, and you're going to tell me that you want to be friends, well, I'm going to tell you right now that I'm not your friend, because I still want to be in this relationship with you, and
that very much happens in the world.
Doesn't it? Yeah. I think it happens all the time. And so the person who's saying not your friend is sticking to his or her gun and just saying, you know what, I love you, I want to be in a relationship with you, I'm not going to be your friend.
Yeah, either you're with me or you're against me,
That's
kind
right.
of. Yeah, great. Well, right now, Not Your Friend by The Looking, a.k.a. Todd Carter.
Early in the morning, hang my heart on the line, hoping to to convince you that the sun still shines. As daybreak dawns, the sky begins to cloud. Start to get this feeling I've lost this time. You're as cold as Minnesota winter fire line. I said it before, I'll say it again. Babe, I want you back. Don't wanna be friends. I'm not your friend. Not your friend. You tell me you need just a little time, but it doesn't take a genius to read your signs. I know if you leave, you're gonna close the door, crush me like a spider walking across the floor. I said it before, I'll say it again. Babe, I want you back. Don't wanna be friends. I'm not your friend. Not your friend. How long do I wait? I don't want this to be my fate. Looks like it's too late. You pull out the F word and wait for a while. You gotta realize that I'm getting tired of knowing my heart what I desire. I said it before, I'll say it again. Babe, I want you back. Don't wanna be friends. I'm not your friend. Not your friend. Not your friend. Not your friend.
Well, I have to say, I love that song, and I pray to the heavens above and you that I touched it delicately, because listening to the CD version of that song, like I said, it kind of takes you out there. And it's a beautifully done song.
Yeah, I mean, thanks so much for playing with me.
It
was a blast.
My thrill. Now, Carl, our videographer, and myself have been experiencing. I've experienced your music over the years, but just in this sitting, Carl brought it up, and I thought it was a great idea, is where does your music come from? What are your influences? Because there's a depth to your singing, to your playing, that we'd like, and our listeners and viewers would like to hear more about.
Sure. Well, it goes back to my mama.
That's where it all began.
You know, she was a funny musician, because I would sit next to her at the piano all the time, but she didn't know how to read music. And she had this great story about when she would go to her lessons, she would come back home and she would play the lessons, but she would be playing them in a different key all the time. So she learned by ear. So that's kind of how I learned growing up, was just sitting at the piano, kind of rubbing elbows with my mom and playing Heart and Soul and that kind of stuff. And then when I got into high school, I got into a garage band when we were listening to, a lot of, kind of post-punk music, Joy Division and New Order and Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark and the Smiths. I spent hours in my bedroom listening to Morrissey. The Queen is Dead.
Tears.
On vinyl, yeah. And, I did a bit of studying through college. I was always in rock and roll bands, playing a lot of kind of rootsy music, and
that really comes through.
And, I'd gotten an invitation to study kind of more hardcore when I was in college at Indiana University, where there's a big opera program. And somebody wanted me to come into the program because they saw I had this huge voice, and I was like, at the time, I was like, no, I want to play, roots music and punk rock and that kind of stuff. But it kind of followed me along, and when I moved to New York in about 1999, I started studying voice with somebody, and she was like, would you be interested in learning more opera? And I said, all right. It's finally kind of opened up to it.
Yeah.
So I did that around the city for a while. I did a bunch of big gigs around New York City, singing various things, but all along always writing tunes, always involved in the studio process, always involved. I ran small studios in New York City for the past really 15 years, off and on. Right now I'm studioless, which I'm kind of happy about, to tell you the truth, because it's allowed me to focus more on the writing process, and so that's where my heart is right now, and I'm kind of digging into that, and I can't wait to see what happens with the next record. We've started on it already.
Oh, right on,
Yeah.
right on. And now just a little glimpse into, is there a specific focus on this new album?
Well, you know, it's interesting. The first song is called "The Moth and the Woodworm," which hopefully maybe we'll do a taste of it at Charlie's next week.
Cool.
It comes from a passage in Matthew, and it's basically about impermanence, how things are fading, and you better not be too tightly holding on to things in your life, because it's going to cause you heartache otherwise.
Yeah. Oh,
So there's a
cool. I like
religious
that.
there's a religious dimension to it, but it's more it's more kind of storytelling, and some of this record that I just finished, Lead Me to the Water, that's been out for a bit. There's been some stuff from Indiana, kind of remembrances of things from the past, and there's a murder ballad on that particular record called The Well, which was based on some family history. So I've been doing a lot of genealogical research and finding these various characters in my family's history, and I've been beginning to write about them as well, bringing them to life.
Cool. Well, I love the new CD, Lead Me to the Water. Fantastic. Looking forward to hearing the next one. We are honored to have you as our guest here on A Maui Music Moment, and your songs really touch me.
Thank you, Randall.
You know, I'm thrilled. And my next big thrill is you're going to join me on one of my songs.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to play this one out. It's so new. I need to tell our viewers and listeners that I couldn't give you sheet music or cheat sheets. I didn't have a recording. So you just have been winging this song. But I felt so driven to have you join me on this one. And I think, if I may be bold enough to say I was right, because you've taken the song to a whole other level. And thank you for joining me on it. It's called Midnight and More, featuring my dear friend, Todd Carter, a.k.a. The Looking. Todd, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you being here. I love you, brother.
Love you too.
And on behalf of videographer Carl Rosicki, producer Larry John, and Akaku Community Cable Television Maui, we thank you for tuning in, listening, and viewing. And this has been episode number 8, and now we're going to play out with Midnight and More. Aloha.
Aloha.
I love you midnight and more. Will you still hold me for sure? Through the wee small hours, till sunrise shines in your eyes. Been a long crazy evening, been a long crazy ride, and with the promise of something true that comes through with you, you got me feeling alright. I love you midnight and more. Will you still hold me for sure? Through the wee small hours, till sunrise shines in your eyes. They say love comes and it goes. They say it's never for sure. But all that I really know is your love changed my life. You made it right, babe, you opened my eyes. I love you midnight and more. Will you to hold me for sure. Through the wee small hours, till sunrise shines in your eyes. I love you midnight and oh, we used to hold me for sure. Hold me for sure. Through the wee small hours, till sunrise shines in your eyes. Midnight and oh, we used to hold me for sure. Through the wee small hours, till sunrise shines in your eyes. Midnight and more, we used to hold me for sure. And through the wee small hours, till sunrise shines in your eyes. Oh, in your midnight and more, we used to hold me for sure. Hold me for sure. Through the wee small hours, till sunrise shines in your eyes. It's been a long, crazy evening. It's been a long, crazy ride, and with the promise of something true that comes through with you, you've got me feeling alright. I love you midnight and more. We used to hold me for sure. Through the wee small hours, till sunrise shines in your eyes. Some say love comes and it goes. Some say it's never for sure. But all that I really know is your love changed my life. You made it right, babe, you opened my eyes. I love you midnight and more. Will you still hold me for sure?